Well, and thank you for taking the time to review this recording. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to walk through QuickPack integrated with Sage 300. So QuickPack is broken down really into two main areas. One is order fulfillment. The other is inventory management. So to quickly touch on the inventory management, it's made up of a couple of things. One is transfers. So the transfer within QuickPack can be a bin-to-bin transfer within a warehouse. It can also be a warehouse-to-warehouse transfer. So what that will do is actually take product, move it, and report back to Sage where that product has been moved to. The adjustment is exactly what you would think it is: adjusting inventory up, adjusting inventory down. That will create a adjustment within Sage. Is driven by the handheld scanners, and will also create a bin record to confirm the quantity that's been adjusted within particular bins. The PO receipt allows you to create a purchase order within Sage 300 to come into QuickPack, to pull up that purchase order, see what should be on or what items are on that purchase order, and receive against it. So as you're counting, you can confirm what you have or what you haven't received. Once you've completed the count, you will push that receipt back to Sage 300. It will update the purchase order in Sage 300, create a purchase order receipt. And if need be, you can do multiple receipts against a single purchase order if you receive product at different times. The cycle count will allow you to take a bin reconciliation worksheet within Sage, read it in. You can count either items, or you can count bins, or you can count everything within a warehouse. The handheld, you then go through and bin location by bin location. Here's what items, here's what quantities are in those bins. Once you've completed that, that gets pushed back to Sage. You can go into Sage, review your reconciliation, look for any discrepancies, post the reconciliation, and if need be, you can also generate a adjustment within Sage to make sure that your inventory counts within Sage match what's physically in the warehouse. Now, where I'm going to spend the bulk of my time today, where I'm going to concentrate today, is within the order fulfillment process. So the order fulfillment process is the wave, the pick, the pack, and the ship. Now, one of the things I'd like to point out is I have adjusted my screen for QuickPack to kind of emulate what it would look like on a handheld scanner. QuickPack runs in a browser. So the configuration on a handheld scanner is really, really simple. It's just a matter of making sure that it will work in the browser on that particular handheld, and the scanner will pass the data to QuickPack as to what it's read by reading a barcode. So really quickly, I want to come back to Sage 300. I've already created an order in Sage 300. I'm going to keep things really simple. I'm going to work with this order, and we're going to go end to end as to what is going to take place here. So you'll notice my order is for customer number 1200, which is Mr. Ronald Black. I have two items on this order: item A1 103/0, which I have a quantity of 2, and item A1 105/0, which I have a quantity of 1. So let's go back to QuickPack, and I'm going to go and wave my order. So when I'm waving, essentially what I'm doing is creating a batch for my pickers. That batch can have a single order like we're going to do right now, or I can put multiple orders if I want them to pick multiple orders in one shot. So I'm going to take that order that we just looked at, and I'm going to create a batch for that. Now you'll notice there's a create button and a pick button on my screen. The create button will create a single batch, leaves me on this screen. I can come in, I can create as many batches as I want. I could also select an order, hit pick, and it will take me right out to my pick screen. So let's go back to my home screen for a second. We're going to go to pick, and here's that order that I just created, or that batch, sorry, that I just created. So you'll notice it actually tells me the order number that is in this batch. If I had multiple orders, I would actually say, or see this say multiple. So there's two ways to do your picking within QuickPack. You can pick to a license plate, or you can do what we call direct packing, and you can pick to a shipping container. So I'm going to do this picking to a license plate, and then ultimately picking to a shipping container as a second step. that would kind of mimic what many customers will actually do within their warehouses. So I'm going to take this batch and I am going to pick. Okay. So there are a couple of different views within QuickPack within the pick screen. I'm on my bin view. I also have an order view where I can see here's an order, here's all the items on this order. I can have just an item view. Here's the first item you've got to go get. I tend to use this here particular view more often because it gives me a good idea of where I'm going to have to go in the warehouse, what I'm going to have to pull. So you remember when we looked at that order, I had two items, item A1 103/0, item A1 105/0. Remember that I had two eaches of the A1 103/0 and one each of the item A1 105/0. So this information is being directly read from Sage 300. So the first thing that I'm going to do to pick this order is I'm going to scan a license plate that I'm going to pick this to. So a license plate can be assigned to anything in your warehouse. Maybe you've got a trolley or you've got a tote, put a barcode on the side of it, and you can actually keep track through the process as to where you've picked this particular batch. You'll notice that there's a red box around my bin number. So this is more or less telling me, here's the steps I've got to go through, right? Item A1 103/0, the system is telling me it's in bin 1. So the red box is directing me, go to bin 1 first. Now, perhaps I get to bin 1 and the product that is in the bin is somehow damaged. I can't ship it. So I could click my more bins button, and that will actually tell me where else in the warehouse this product exists and the quantities that are in each of those bin locations. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan my bin, and that is going to confirm to the system I'm actually pulling this out of bin 1. I'm not pulling it out of bin 2. Make sure that my inventory counts within Sage stay accurate. So once I've done that, I can now start picking my products off of the shelf. So I'm just going to scan my product code, and you'll notice my number that's in black, the quantity that is on the order, stays the same. But my quantity in green has dropped from 2 to 1. So I've picked one off the shelf and I've put it into, the trolley that I have this license plate assigned to. So I'm now going to scan my next item. Item A1 103/0 disappears off my screen because I fully picked it. So it is now directing me to go to bin 2 for item A1 105/0. I'm going to scan my bin to confirm that that's where I'm actually at. And then I will scan my item. So I've now taken my item off the shelf. I've put it into my trolley. It tells me that there's no more items left to pick. So once I've done that, I've completed my picking. I can hit my checkered flag, my complete button, confirm that I've completed my picking. And I now take my trolley over, drop it off at the packing area. So in my packing area, right, one of my packing team members is going to go into my pack screen, and they're going to say, I need to create a new shipment. And here is that order that we just created. Now, they may not know which order that they actually have in front of them. On a regular day, I could have hundreds of orders that have been picked and are now in this stage. So they can simply scan the license plate off the side of the trolley, and it will select any orders that are part of that batch. So now, because I know which order I need, I can hit create and actually create a shipment. Right? And then I'm going to select that shipment that I just created. So now what I'm going to do is take the product that I had picked, and I'm going to start putting it into cartons to ship out. So I can hit my pack button. Right. The first thing I have to do is again scan my license plate just to confirm that I am still picking out of the correct, the correct trolley or the correct tote. And I'm going to add a carton to the system. So you'll notice it actually assigns a carton serial number. So if I close that, I can now start scanning my items as I lift them off the trolley and put them in the box. Now, in this particular case, I've actually got my system configured to prompt me as to how many I'm actually putting in the box. So I can hit submit and put both of item A1103/0 into the box at one time. There's also a configurable option that tells you that you have to scan each item as you're putting it into the box. So it's just a matter of what works for your group specifically. Now, my items are not real big. I'm actually going to mix my items into a single carton. So I can now scan item A1105/0. And because I only had one, it doesn't prompt me. You'll notice my LP, my selected LP changes, none left. I've completely packed everything within this container or within this license plate. So if I need to, I can go print. I can print packing slips. I can print labels, whatever I need to print to be able to ship this product out the door. Once I've done that, I can close, complete. And this is now going to get this ready to queue up so that all I have to do is confirm, that my shipment's left and be able to, or be ready to send this back to Sage 300. Okay. So what I'm going to do next is go back to my home screen. And the last step that I have to do is ship. Now, one of the messages that you might have noticed popped up on the screen was that I hadn't successfully passed my data out to a CMS system. In this particular case, I've turned off my integration to my CMS system, but QuickPack does support integration with different carrier management systems. We've got a spec that we can use to pass data back and forth. So for instance, I could pass out that I have a shipment going to Mr. Ronald Black. Here's his address. It's one box. That system would then communicate, get me back tracking numbers, pass that information back to QuickPack, and I could write that information back to Sage 300. So what I'm going to do, because I've disabled my carrier management integration in this case, is choose my shipment. I'm going to confirm that it is now leaving my facility. So I'm going to complete it. And I'm just going to add a dummy pro number. And I'm going to ship this. So what this is now going to do is going to queue this shipment up, go back and update Sage 300. Okay, so once my order has had a chance, or once my shipment has had a chance to update Sage, what I can do is, let's go back to our Sage order entry screen. And I'm just going to refresh this order by going back one order, going back to the order that I was just looking at. And you'll notice a couple of things. So right off the bat, my quantity ordered has dropped from 2 and 1 down to 0 and 0. The other thing you will notice is that there is a shipment number and an invoice number assigned to this particular order. So what QuickPack has done is gone back to Sage and said to Sage, I have fulfilled this order. Here's the exact products that we've shipped out. Here's the exact quantities that we've shipped out. Here is the tracking number that was assigned to this particular shipment. Go ahead, create the shipment, and I've even got my system configured to even trigger the invoice for me because I know, what I've shipped. Creating the invoice is a configurable option, right? So some companies will have that turned on so that it does it right away. Others will allow QuickPack to create the shipment, but they'll go review the shipment before they invoice it, just in case they want to add any extra charges to their invoice, and allows them to do that before that final invoice is created.